Lori Ann Spagna, and I am a multidimensional healer, a channel, an intuitive, a light worker, a starseed, and an animal communicator.
Can you define those things for us, please?
So here's what I want to say to you first. I get it. Most people don't know what those terms are. And the first thing I want to tell you is rather than waste our time here, giving you definitions, I can tell you where you can get a free ebook and a free class on both of those things. And that's at lorispagna.com/free gifts. And if you write that down, you will get a free ebook and a free class on understanding what those things are. So, because what we're here today to talk about is the DNA, our DNA, and the key codes in our DNA. But let me just let you know that I have been doing this work for now, I started with animals for more than 20 years. I've been working with humans and animals to help us come into alignment with our source, divine source, however we know and experience that. And the thing is that most of us have been operating from a perspective that this source is someone or something outside of us. Some kind of Santa Claus in the sky, right? And we pray to it. And some of us, who knows about like law of attraction? Yeah? So we're starting to realize we have influence, we can play with it, but we still see it and perceive it as external to us. Can we understand that? So what's happening on planet Earth? Does everyone understand the concept of ascension?
Yes.
Does anyone not? So the idea of ascension is that humanity is undergoing a massive global shift. This goes beyond just our planet. And this global shift is basically a process we call known as ascension. The bulk of humans have no idea this is going on at this time, and that's okay, because they'll come to know it too, just like waves in an ocean. We sort of all ultimately are one big ocean, and it's even greater than that. But so this process of ascension is a process where we all start waking up to higher truths and higher knowing. I'm using the word higher, but more accurate truths, things that we have not been aware of before. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of those truths, among many, like untold truths, is actually that this source is not external to us. And in fact, the more we are told or it's emphasized that all this stuff in the external world is real, actually the harder things are going to get on us. So we're actually being lovingly coerced and forced, so to speak, to come into this ascension, whether you use that word or not, this awakening, where we start to realize there's nothing external to us, nothing that's not first inside of us, just as much inside of us. And that the more we come into this awakening and alignment, we come to realize more and more that in fact everything external to us is actually controlled by us, but we never knew that. And that everything we experience in the external world is a result of what's inside of us. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
That includes this divine source, no matter what terminology we use. Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Krishna, Allah, doesn't matter. That source, whatever we call it, however we relate to it, is actually within us. And actually, in reality, it is us. We are it. However we know, experience, and understand it, and this process of awakening. Hello, you can come in.
Well, I'm looking for Eddie.
Okay, well then, okay. So, yes, so as we come into alignment, we actually reclaim the divinity that's within us. Make sense? And this divinity is unlimited potential. And the idea is the potential that we would like to experience, whether we're conscious of it or not, is our highest and best. Whether we're saying that or knowing it, that's what we all want, right? And ideally, we could also say with harm to none, right? Because we're not here to harm anyone. We just want to live a better version of our lives and be the highest and best version of ourselves. Can we all agree? Yeah? Okay, good. So that's what we're going to discuss today, but it's related specifically to the DNA. And this is the work I've been doing now for 20 years, even though it's really evolved over the 20 years. So my assistant Jessica is going to pass around a clipboard. Oh, I see it's going around. And as long as you give me your name and email address, I don't share it, but I will make sure to gift you a free DNA activation. You won't really understand this until the end of our presentation, but if you want it, I have to be able to read your email. If I can't read your email address, if it's scribbled, I can't give it to you. If you don't hear from me, it's because I couldn't read your email address or somehow it was written wrong. And in that case, you don't get the DNA activation because we just don't have time to do it in here. First, I just need to talk to you about it. Yeah, makes sense? Everyone with me? All right, so how many strands of DNA do we have?
32.
How many?
2.
2? 12?
444.
444? All right, so we know in what I call the third dimensional reality, I'm not the only one. What's the third dimensional reality? Does anyone know? Who knows me? You know. You've heard me talk about this. Yes, it's the physical world. We've been living in a physical world based in 3 dimensions. What are the 3 dimensions?
Illusion.
Illusion is the spiritual consciousness response, but we're talking real reality here. What's the physical world? Yes. With space. Space. That includes time. The space between today and tomorrow is a space. That's time, right? Space between this year and next year, that's time. That's a space. So that's a form of space. So that's a dimension of its own, space. What's the other 2 dimensions? Can you hear me speaking? Noise in the sound. Yeah, sound. That's, and isn't there, okay, like some people agree, if you're into harmonics and Buddhism and other things, that the first sound was Aum, and the sound created, because it hummed so loud, first was the word, that sound created the Big Bang. Okay, third dimension that we live in.
Frequencies.
Well, that's through everything. What color is this? What color is that? Okay, we can see the difference between colors. Colors. Light. Yes.
Light.
So those are the 3 dimensions. Now, in the third dimensional world, then, how many strands of DNA are there? We can see them under a microscope, 2. And if you live in the third dimensional world, your doctor believes and tells you, I'm saying you, but I mean all of us, it's just the way I say it. In the third dimensional world, come on in, have a seat. We have 2 strands of DNA. And in the third dimensional world, you inherit DNA, and in that reality, you are basically, I'm saying you, but I mean all of us, a victim of the DNA. In other words, if you have a predisposition for diabetes, you better be afraid. If you have a predisposition for alcoholism or addiction or any other dis-ease, it's in your DNA and you need to be afraid. Do we understand this? And the things that go on in that third dimensional reality, basically there's a lot of things to be afraid of. You might lose all your money, you might run out of money, the IRS might come after you, your bank might close your account, the economy could collapse, the world could go, you could have a horrible hurricane, and in the hurricane there could be disasters, you run out of water, you don't have enough gas, blah, 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 on and on. Yes, you can get sick, you can't control that, you might die tomorrow, you can't control that. This is third dimensional reality. We've all been there, right? We live there. We know what it's like, right? So what I'm suggesting is that actually the process of ascension that we talked about is taking us out of a third dimensional reality, elevating us out of that reality into, for simplicity, I'm going to say a parallel reality, but that's not really what it is. It's a coexisting reality where people have ascended into a new reality and they know that there's way more than 2 strands of DNA, and they're no longer controlled, dominated, or manipulated by fear or by believing that something external to them has power over them. Can we make sense? Does this make sense?
Yes.
But the way to get from that parallel reality, because it's existing, like if you have never heard of any of these concepts before, and that's okay, that you're in the right place, that means you and I were coexisting in the same similar kind of reality, but you have a whole different set of operating beliefs, which is creating an entirely different experience in your life. Whereas me or someone else who's already kind of gone through this ascension, and we're all going to go through it like waves, has a totally different experience. And within this experience, we have at least 12 strands of DNA, and we're actively engaged in turning them on, awakening them from within us. And we know that in order to do that, in order to awaken the DNA in us, we actually have to work, at least initially, with someone who knows how to do it, who can help us to activate it. And then as we turn more and more on, this is what we're going to talk about more, what starts to happen to us. But we elevate In what? What was the word you used? Someone used over here? I think it was you.
Vibrations.
Vibration, frequency. So down here in the third dimensional reality, this is kind of what the frequency feels like. Stress, anxiety, disease. You know, you see this on the car, on the ramps, cars, right? This is 3D. Be afraid, be worried, stock up, protect your goods, someone's going to hurt you. That's that reality. But over here, the reality feels and experiences more like this. All is well, all is good. No worries, everything's fine.
That's
All good. Yeah. And so the experience reflects that. I'm at peace. I feel good. Everything's great. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. I'm enthusiastic. I can't wait to be of service to others and help others. From there, come over here because this is awesome. This is enough for everybody here. We're aligned with Source. It's infinite. Infinite potential, infinite excitement, infinite joy. And it feels good. And we know over here that based on what's going on internally, the external reality is going to be entirely different for us. So over here, if we're living in a state of fear, and we only have 2 DNA strands, we don't have enough of that knowledge yet. We haven't awakened the wisdom, the vibrations, the frequency within us yet to know any different. So when we get told by the television, you know, that you need Claritin Clear, or that you better go to your doctor and check this disease while you're listening to pretty birds in the background and watching someone play football, you actually are getting brainwashed. It really is. And it's affecting people on an unconscious level because that's what they believe is real. And when the news comes on and says stories like, oh, there's guns, we need gun control, and it's actually affecting us to believe that reality. But over here, you've freed yourself. You've liberated yourself. You've awakened the dormant potential that's lying in those other 10 strands. And whoever said 444, you see over here we actually do know there are 444, but you could never really fully access even beyond the first 12 strands. You can't access even beyond the first 2 strands until you awaken those. Then you get to the 12 strands and you can start expanding even more. Does this make sense so far? Okay, any questions so far? Yeah.
So the question is, the ascension happens from within. So, and our activation of DNA is also from within. So if, in my understanding, if somebody activates DNA in somebody, right, and the person not ascended to the same level, so those activations are gonna take them down, or the individual gonna take them down, those activations. So basically, it's like a rubber effect. You know,
yes.
You're stretching up, but because individual is not ready for that, you're gonna take it down.
Yeah, but can I offer you something? That is a perspective, right? That's a belief system.
It's I'm trying to figure it out.
Yes.
It's like a.
So can you be open to the idea that that's nothing more than a perspective that's not absolutely accurate?
Well, sure.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's true
It's like
if it's true for you. That's right.
It is, and it isn't at the same time.
That's right. So let's use this as an example, and I'll address it more. Stay with me, okay? Because it's a good question. So what happens is we're becoming more sensitive, and we're opening up this DNA within us. Inside the DNA is all kinds of codes and codons. I want to talk about some of that. Programs like a program on a computer. And above all, not above all, but part of it is what we believe. Because over here, everybody believes, in third dimensional reality, everybody believes that everybody else believes pretty much the same stuff. Everybody believes that we all are having the same experience. For example, here's a good one. Everybody in third dimensional reality thinks there's 24 hours in a day, and that time is constant. In other words, it doesn't change. Time is 24 hours. So over here, everybody believes certain things. You got 2 strands of DNA, you better go to your doctor, you gotta pay your taxes, gotta do this, gotta do that. I'm not saying you don't need to do those things, I'm saying that over here, everybody else knows something different. Different things that are completely unknown here. So what you're suggesting here is something that happens along the journey. Because people here have a frequency, we're embodying a frequency that vibrates not with fear. Remember you said frequency? Over here, the frequency that's dominant is fear. Fear, worry, anxiety, stress, concern, guilt, shame, regret, remorse, anger. Those are the predominant energies that people are playing with in this reality. They don't even know it. Okay, so in order to up-level to what's the predominant energies in this reality, we're all coexisting. These predominant energies, what are they? Love, joy, happiness, peace, service to the greater good, to others, and to ourselves, contribution to the improvement of humanity. So what happens is these people are holding this frequency, and if your question is, if someone is holding a frequency down here that's vibrating to so much density, this is a third density reality, it's so dense, this is where disease can happen, this is where poverty exists, this is where starvation and other problems of the world exist. If someone's up here holding this high frequency, can this, like a rubber band effect, either drain this person, or does this person only get so much and then they can't really elevate? And you're right, it's true, but it's not absolutely true. Because ultimately, as we clear all that stuff out, we are able to anchor energetically and hold enough frequencies in our body, every one of us, that we can vibrate in harmony with these energies. Peace, love, joy. And that we never run out. And here's why. Here's the beauty. Because your source is infinite. Who plays with Tai Chi, Qigong? Anyone play with energy? Reiki? Okay. Where are you getting that energy? Source. However you define it. It's unlimited energy. So even if I'm around someone temporarily and I feel drained by them, or even if somebody gets DNA activations and they can't maintain this frequency because they go back into the third dimensional world and now they've lost it again, something has forever transformed in them within the DNA that will never let them fully go back.
But then we have to, then we have to go into the consciousness.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's what Ascension is. So ultimately, though, if you're playing with the energy of Source, direct engagement, this is where I started with, it's not external to us. We have to activate it from within it, we have to come into alignment with this Source, and we have to be able to hold and channel this energy some way or another. Chi is awesome, any form of Chi, breatharian, it's just that it doesn't work with everything, because if you've got codes in the DNA, or unconscious belief systems, or points of view or perspectives that aren't absolutely accurate, they will kind of hook you back in. So you're right. But ultimately, every time you do some form of energy, just like every time you come to an expo like this, something's expanding in you that can never go back. Am I making sense? And it just kind of makes you, begs you to look and seek more, because it's ultimately your alignment with Source. And it's ultimately you remembering who you truly are. I'm saying you, but I mean all of us. Is this making sense? So the beauty of the codes, to bring this back circle, is that they're in your DNA. And as much as people like DNA Ancestry, or whatever else is trying to get your DNA, because believe me, there's gifts in those DNA, and there are people that want your DNA for a reason. When no one can really take your gifts. No one can take what's in your DNA. It's waiting for you. You put it there so that when you are ready, you could have it. So this is what's in those strands. Now let's talk about them. First two strands. What are the first two strands of DNA? In the physical world. What are they? Come on. Okay, well they store up the records of your ancestors, right? So if your ancestor had an issue with a disease, there's a record of your ancestor. It might not say John Doe from 1500, but there's a record in there. You know, you've got diabetes in your bloodline, or you've got this in your bloodline, or whatever. And that's the history of your ancestors. stored in your DNA. Now, here's the amazing thing, is that for me as a healer, I can actually go into that DNA, not physically. I'm working with source. So what are we talking about? The non-physical world can impress upon the physical world and make change. We're tapping into the power of the non-physical world. That includes, if it's a true psychic, that's what they're doing. I'm a psychic, but I don't use that word because it's just so misidentified. It's a true angel healer, they're working with angels. I'm an angel healer, I'm a Reiki master, I've worked with a gazillion modalities. What am I doing? I'm tapping into the non-physical realm to get information and energy that is not readily available or known in the physical world. This is why, for people who don't know it, it's so easy to dismiss as untrue or inaccurate or false, because they don't know it, they've never experienced it, and the first thing this world is programmed into is judgment, doubt, disbelief, skepticism. Those are programs, like a computer program in that reality. Make sense? Yes. So, then our job is to identify what it is in the first two strands of DNA that are limiting and or blocking you and or creating the perpetuation of dis-ease of any kind, even if it's lack. If you have an ancestor, sorry, who grew up during the Great Depression, somewhere in your bloodline, there's some fear of complete loss, poverty, lack. If you have an ancestor that grew up during the Great Depression, you're going to have that in your bloodline. If you have an ancestor, for example, who experienced a world trauma such as Hiroshima, there's going to be something that's a trauma related to that. Okay, any kind of major traumas, and they don't have to be world traumas. It's stored up in the DNA. It gets impressed upon the DNA. Does this make sense? So an energy healer like me, I can't talk about everybody, but I know that's what I do. Part of what I do, one of the first things I start to do when I work with people, and I work with people in groups, is I go into that DNA and start clearing out all the stuff from the ancestors that's no longer serving you. You don't need it. It just got impressed upon. They didn't know about this stuff. It wasn't available back then. This is all new, we call it new technology, but it's technology from source. Through the Ascension Awakening, we're waking this up. So we can clear that out. Our future does not have disease. I can guarantee you. If you're on a timeline, if you don't know that word, that's okay. But from this reality, there's no more disease over here. And people here know it. They don't know it over here. Okay, so we clear out that DNA. We make it pristine, perfect. We return and restore your body and being to its ideal, original state, which does not include illness or sickness. Now, it's not a pill. This does not happen like a pill. I've been working on this for myself, just this part, just with the DNA for 10 years. And I still don't have it perfect myself. I mean, I'm still working on it, right? But it's miracles that happen all the time because we're clearing stuff off and people are having these amazing experiences. Now, once we get through, and by the way, this isn't a linear approach because you don't have to clear off all the DNA in the first two strands to start waking up the other 12 strands and beyond, or the other 10 strands and beyond. It can happen all simultaneously. It's just important to understand it's not a linear process. So, and it's not a pill, you know. So, okay, so what else is in the DNA? After we start activating the first two strands, awakening, clearing them out, what do you think is in the other 10 strands?
Parts of you?
Yeah, well, it's your gifts. What gifts might you have?
All these powers that we have lost.
Yes, exactly. What do you think some of those are?
Like telepathy.
Yes, telepathy, intuition, absolutely. No, you can't get steered wrong as easily. You can't be told lies and believe like, okay, don't even get me started. So, okay, so that's some of it. What else is there?
We're there.
We're all healers.
Maximum potential.
Maximum potential. So I want to hear you guys tell me some of your dreams. Just shout them out.
You don't want to hear last night's dream.
I need you to say it louder because there's noise in the hallway. What's
You don't
that?
want to hear last night's dream.
No, I mean your dream for living your highest potential. The dreams that you gave up on when you started to believe that life was not worth it. When you started to believe there was what's the point of being here? When you started to believe you were powerless and you couldn't make any change in the world. Come on, we've all believed that. But I want to know your real dreams.
Expanding consciousness.
Expanding consciousness.
Feeding the world.
Freeing the world. Feeding the world. Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Best-selling authors in here? Any?
Working on it.
Okay, that's another dream. Anyone want to be professional doctor or healer, veterinarian, save the animals? Any dreams like that? Okay, all the solutions to your dreams are lying in your DNA. Dormant DNA. Thank you, whoever said that. Thank you. So, what happens in our reality, in the third dimensional reality, pardon me, is that we start believing, we believe that it's not possible for us. We start believing in the impossibilities. This third dimensional reality is all about lack and limitation. Even if you call someone up, like I called up Anthropology last night, and I was like, hey, I've got a card, you know, gift card for $100. And for 20 minutes, the woman basically told me all the things that weren't possible for me, about how I couldn't use it. Well, that won't work, you can't do that, you can't do, what if I go here, what if I do that? No, she just wasn't seeing. I finally was like, this is a dead end. I know there are better possibilities, but she can't see them and can't seem to tell me, so I'm going to call forward someone who can help me better. A better solution. Because everything's possible, but if we're wired into it's just not possible. So if you have a dream that you didn't announce here, somewhere in the back of your mind of what you really want, maybe what you just want is more freedom. Maybe what you want is a new partner, new joyful relationship. Maybe you want to just get along with people. But whatever is lying in your private of your inner mind, of what really will make fulfillment for you, it's in your DNA. And the solutions are in there. Not to mention the solutions to all the world's problems. Because over here, we've already started healing the world, like in amazing ways. And healing isn't the right word, but we've restored this planet to balance in ways that people would never know about from over here. And that real miracles for the whole planet are available to us when we start working with this source, bringing it through us, and sharing it with all of humanity. So, okay, so your dreams are in there. Now let's talk about some of the codes and codons that are in the DNA, yeah? Does anyone have questions? Is it making sense? Questions?
You gave us a website or something to look up those terms you use, and I'd like to write that down.
It's my website, LoriSpagna.com. So I have on my, you can get the cards and the flyers up here, and as long as you have given Jessica your email, you'll get it. You'll get a free DNA activation, and you'll be able to stay in touch with me. But it's my website, LoriSpagna.com/free gifts. Those are some gifts. They don't give you the DNA activation. That I have to email you. So, okay. But the gifts you'll get there is the definitions of Starseed, indigo races, all these Lightworker terms. All right, so let's talk about the codons in the DNA. All right, first of all, everyone in this room is a healer. Everyone has the capacity to heal others, themselves and others. That's one of the easiest, most accessible aspects of our dormant DNA that's waiting for us. Everyone is intuitive. So everyone has the ability to follow their instincts, feel confident in their gut, to have connection with their own, what we sometimes refer to as our higher self or our inner source. Everyone has that. That's some of only the initial things that wake up very quickly. You become more empathic, more sensitive, more aware. You start realizing that doesn't feel good. That makes me stressed. I'm going to move in this direction. This feels lighter. This feels better. I'm going to keep going in this direction because as long as it's harm to none, I know that's the direction. Anyway, if it was harm to someone, you would feel worse. Everything that feels better is taking you in the right direction. Everything that feels worse is taking you in a denser reality. In this reality, people have been completely cut off from that. So we're waking all of that up. Yeah, that's all in the DNA. It's not only even in the DNA. That stuff's all when we clear out your energy centers, right? Now, but let's get to some of the deeper stuff. Who in the room has had relationship struggles? Person, place, thing, experience, problems with the government, problems with TSA, problems with bankers. Okay. There's a program in the DNA that no human is aware of. Who has issues with Democrat, Republican? Issues, you're on one side of the fence or the other? Yeah? Okay, there's a program in the DNA. This is a corrupt program, corrupted. And it's called divide and conquer. So the divide and conquer immediately on an unconscious level puts us in positions of opposition. And it plugs us in anywhere where there are two sides. And you're on one side or the other, and now you're going to have challenges. Because that divide and conquer program is running, and it's active. Understand, when a virus is on your computer, you might not even know it. You don't know why your computer's running slow. You're not conscious of why you're being pissed off at this person or that person, or why you hate Trump and they love Hillary or whatever. Why is it Russians against Americans? Why is it blacks against whites? Why is it Jews against Catholics? Like, all of that is divide and conquer. And it's women against men. I mean, one team against another, to the point that it's not even camaraderie. I can't be friends with you if you're a Mets fan. I can't like you if you love Trump. I mean, what is that? That is a program in the unconscious, and it's wired into the DNA. It's corrupt. It's very easy to clear it out. For me, because I've been working with it. I didn't even know that program was in there until I started working with the DNA. Okay, here's another one. This one's a little harder. Yeah.
How many programs?
There's tons of them.
It's millions. So.
But we don't know. We don't know. We don't know if we can put a number like that. And what's happening, what I'm perceiving that's happening there is this state of like, oh my God, oh, you feel squashed under it, overwhelmed, right? That's just another hook. Because we have hooks, we have entanglements, we get triggered. And if something's being triggered, like for example, oh my God, that's too much, how am I ever going to do it? That in and of itself is a kind of a program that can be cleared. This is why this is not an overnight process. But every time you do it, every single time you're clearing, every single time you're changing some unconscious belief, every time you're activating something, it gets better and better and better. Every time you're being liberated. Now understand, at this time on planet Earth, humanity is clearing 26,000 years of existence. Corrupted programs that we created in ourselves. And yes, there were malevolence. Conspiracy is not a theory, guys. There was definitely a lot of engagement that was working against us. That now really can't unless we entangle with it again. They really don't have power post-2012 anymore. But we're still giving those external authorities power over us because we haven't learned this. So this is what is the mission of Lightworkers, to help assist with this.
We don't know
but
true potential.
We just don't know. We're waking it up. So when it feels like it's so much, it does. But understand, it's sort of like, it is a lot, and at the same time, every time you do it, it gets lighter, better, more fulfilling. You start to get happier, you have more energy, you start attracting more better things into your life, better experiences, you start to see your potential, and yes, you keep going.
But that's what I said. You're going through that from within.
Yes.
You're growing from within, and by cleaning those, that's how you're activating your...
That's correct. Yes. All right, so let's talk about some of the other things in the DNA. Here's another one. This is where I was going to go. This one's a little challenging for people. So there is a corrupted program in the DNA called gender identity disorder. So this leads to confusion around the sexuality issues. There's also an intertangled program in there called sexual misery programs. This creates pornography and addiction and other forms of we'll use the word dis-ease related to sexuality, shame of the body, shame of sex, guilt. All kinds of programs are linked into that, but it's a whole chunky program. Now just imagine for a moment, if you would, that you have a chain, thin gold or silver chain, and it's been sitting in your jewelry box. This is easier maybe for women, I don't know. And it's been sitting with a gazillion other silver and gold chains and over the years, and it just got entangled into a big, huge mess. That's what we're looking at when we have to disentangle some of these programs. Because what you were saying, there's accuracy to that. You could pull one thing, but it could maybe not be fully cleared because there's another hook in there that hooks it back in. So, but when we're talking about gender identity disorder, when you see a really famous public figure on TV who now has basically taught humanity that it's very normal to remove your genitals, that becomes what this reality thinks is normal. And I'm not judging it. Please understand, it's not judgment. There's no wrong or right here. It's about us realizing if we're not confused, if we're aligned, there's no confusion. There's no gender identity issues. There's no sexual confusion either. There's anyone go to the tantric stuff? There's a friend of mine who does that. Okay, that's all about really celebrating the inner sacred self that really comes in. You come into a sense of purity of yourself. There's no sexual embarrassment, shame. It's about pleasure with harm to none. Relishing the physical form and the energy that flows through it. Self-love, self-care, self-nurturing, and then being able to share it with the right partner in a healthy way. But these are programs that are corrupted that would interfere with that. Does this make sense? Yes. All right, I want to tell you some of the good programs that are in there. So has anyone ever heard of the Adam-Cadman body? No? A couple? All right, so that's a program in the DNA. What the Adam-Cadman body does is it actually, when it gets activated, it actually is designed to actually call in what we often refer to as our higher self. So most people, their higher self is just like hanging on by energetic cords and threads, or contained within the auric field, which is your aura, your light body, part of your light body. And it's external to you. And so in order for you to connect with it, for most people on planet Earth, and certainly in this reality, if they even believe in this stuff over here, they have to somehow pray or access it or pull cards or, right? But once that Adam-Cadman body code is reactivated, it actually starts coming in really on its own. You start realigning with your soul. Your soul's not external to you. It's just that it's been external to us over here. That's why we're walking around like we don't know what's going on. Make sense? That's the Adam-Cadman. There's another one. I'll come to you in a second. Which is really a beautiful code in there. But these are lying very, very deep. Which is called the Original Divine Blueprint. So I've been activating Original Divine Blueprints for people now, and animals, for many years. The Original Divine Blueprint, when activated, yes, you have to clear out other things, but it's perfect in ideal health. Does not include sickness or illness. That's not normal. See, if someone's watching a TV and it sort of plays you this pretty music and shows you people playing footballs and having fun, and then may cause death, you know, that's not normal. That's not normal. That's brainwashing. But that Original Divine Blueprint, when it's activated, you cannot fall for that anymore. You can't even be coerced by it. Because you know, this is not belief. We're not playing with belief when we start activating these codes. We're restoring what we know. I often start my presentations with, anyone in here is a believer? And everybody's like, oh, I'm a believer. And I'm like, I'm not a believer. I'm a knower. Because when you start experiencing things firsthand and you start waking this up, no one can dissuade you. You can't be brainwashed or manipulated anymore. Doesn't mean I don't have my challenges just like everyone else. I'm going through life on Earth too. It's my joy. It's my divine mission to be working with the non-physical realm and extracting information and energy that I can then bring forward here for humanity. That's what I love to do. I love it when I'm like, oh my God, I just got it. And it's so big, and it's one of those things that nobody taught me. It's not in any book, at least not to my knowledge, and it's something I access from the unknown realm. That's my joy. Like, I'll give you another one. How does aging happen? How do we age?
Staying alive.
Staying alive? Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. But how do people age? Years go by, right? Time. Right, so over here, time...
Cell division is corrupted.
Cell division gets corrupted, that's true too. Okay, how does that happen? Over time, right?
I guess DNA gets corrupted.
Yes, DNA gets corrupted. How does that happen?
Because someone is controlling the cell division, so it's DNA.
Okay, well, so even that implies that someone outside of you is controlling it, but still, you're all right. But it's linked into time, right? I mean, if you've been alive 20 years, you're one age, and if you're 30 years, you're another age, right? Well, but if you remember back, time is actually not actually real. It's really just an aspect of space in a third-dimensional reality. That when you start stepping over here, you start realizing that time is fluid. So if time is fluid, and let's say your Adam Cadman's activated, and let's say your original divine blueprint is activated, now you start realizing, I can bend time. Because now I'm in a fifth-dimensional reality. So fear-based programming, like I don't have enough time, or I'm going to age, get sick, and die, that's no longer controlling me. Now I'm like, I actually have the ability to change that. So I actually have to realize that time is a limiting factor that has limited us here, that I have the ability to influence myself. But here's the better part of it. The truth about aging is that it's nothing more than an expectation. But it is wired into the DNA and programmed. Because if 7 billion people go through it, and 7 billion people agree, then there's a hook and entanglement and ensnarlment that everybody hooks into, and it's programmed and wired into this thing called linear time. Therefore, it's written into the DNA. Can we understand this? No. And what I'm suggesting from over here is that a lot of that programming can be cleared and resolved while these other programs are being activated and awakened. Therefore, and I'm not talking about resisting aging or judging aging, I'm just saying humans are meant to live way longer than we do. That's what I'm saying. Naturally, without sickness, without disease, without illness. And this is in our future, all of us, if we choose it. Because if you sit here saying it's bullshit, I'm not interested, it's crazy, it's woo-woo, okay, that's a choice, that's a free will choice. I'm going to get you, I want to get you. But just to understand, there are universal laws. I teach about those a lot too. So they are the thing you can always test something against. If you understand the laws of the universe, which I have a whole class of that in my sacred membership, but those laws do govern us. And they're unbreakable. They're not like a traffic signal law or some law made by a human in third-dimensional reality. They actually are laws of the universe that affect our whole universe, and there are true guideposts. Because if you understand the laws and you can test anything against the law, and if the law still holds it up as true, it's not a belief. Everything else that's not a law can be changed. It's not, for example, cause and effect. If I drop this, if I let go, it will drop. That's an effect, right? Gravity is a natural law. It'll drop because of gravity. Gravity is not a universal law. That's why when you go out into space, time also. You go out into space, time changes, right?
It slows down.
Yes, so the point is those are not laws of the universe, but cause and effect is a law. There is an effect to everything. If I say hate words to someone, they're going to feel hated, then that hate's going to come back to me, law of attraction. That's also a law. Okay, we don't have time to go into the laws, but the point is it will help, it helps us when we start learning these laws and we start realizing that everything here is beliefs and variations of belief systems that form programs in the unconscious that repeat and repeat and repeat over time, cycle and repeat like looping patterns, and then those looping patterns start to form energetic responses in the body. The neurology of the brain of thinking and believing something eventually gets formatted into the unconscious like a program, and that looping pattern of it's a program that's running whether we're conscious of it or not, just like when your computer's off, Excel is still on there, it's still holding your files. Then what that does is that creates a resonance in the body that gets stored up throughout the physiology of the body. If it's an area that's out of alignment with source, that means highest, clearest, purest, most accurate truth, or out of alignment with source, out of alignment with peace, harmony, love, joy, kindness, compassion, those frequencies, it's going to store a blockage energetically because it's a thought that keeps repeating, turns into a belief system, becomes a program, gets anchored in the emotional body. If it's, I can't stand, let's just use a racial slur because there's someone on the, some kind of racial slur, can't stand black people or those damn immigrants. Okay, there's an emotional attachment to that. It gets energetically anchored in the body, creates blockages. Can we see this?
Yes.
Blockages create illness because they're density that anchor us into 3D. And then what happens, there's a record that's stored. Why is the record stored in the DNA? To help us find it and resolve it. Clear it out. If you don't know it, how can you resolve it? It's just sticking there. You don't know why. This is why people in 3D can't understand why they got cancer. Why do people get cancer?
Because we smoke and they got lung cancer.
Okay, there's truth to some degree.
No,
to some degree, however,
so
let's understand that that's still giving power to the cigarette.
Because they have a lot of
something external, right?
Yeah.
I forgot your question. I don't mean to. I want to come back to you. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I think it's just because they have a lot of distorted
That's right.
distortion in energy. And
That's exactly what it is. So much dense, heavy, distorted, heavy energy gets formed as blockages, gets written into the DNA, and then the physical body has to communicate it and express it somehow because it's unprocessed. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So when we're talking about programs in the DNA and energy clearing, what we're talking about is not just affecting it like the way our third dimensional reality works with stuff, which is basically take a pill or slice it off. That is it. We're talking about working with the highest, clearest, purest, most accurate consciousness we can access to identify the root cause, even if it was through other generations, which is parallel timelines, also sometimes known as past lifetimes. You guys with me? Clearing it out through all of that so that it doesn't have to repeat again. Now you start coming into a kind of neutrality where you're not as triggered by all that stuff. You're like, to each his own. Or if you do get triggered, you're like, I'm going to go work with my healer or my coach or my friend and work it out on my own because it's not up to them to solve my problems. Right? We start coming into our power, and then we go back and we realign with source, we awaken more, we come more into alignment. It's a process. Do we understand this? Okay, what were you going to say? I want to hear you.
Oh, I'm wondering if this is something that we used to know before, because I have a Bible, not that I'm Christian, but people were living like 500 years in there, and then we forgot. And then what if the line of people that used to know it is still in there for some people, and maybe that's why there's people that don't age, because maybe every once in a while there's people
absolutely.
They're 50 and they look 20.
Yeah, absolutely. This is ancient knowledge, and at the same time, it is true we did forget. But the truth is, everything that ever has existed and ever could exist has always existed. We are eternal beings, whether we have a physical form or not, and there's an eternal consciousness. So this information is being awakened from within us. But we didn't have it readily available. It's not in any school system. You're not learning it in, elementary school or even college. So, to me, when I'm accessing something from the field of consciousness, sometimes I think nobody knows this, and other times I'm like, I'm sure someone else has it, but it's not anything I read, and it's not readily available. Because that's what I love to do. But yeah, it's within our DNA. It's been there all along. Okay, so. All right, so I have about maybe a good 5 minutes left. Is there any burning question? Especially from anyone who hasn't. Yes.
How do we clear up this garbage?
Yeah.
Do we have to go to you, or do we do it ourselves?
Oh, that's a good question. First of all, I want to tell you that if you're in the Florida area, I do a gifted event. There's a flyer up here at Unity Church in Jupiter. It's 45 minutes north, but it's gifted once a month. And we do. If I had time, I'd do it in here.
You do have time. Time is nowhere.
Well, yes. We're hooked into a collective of time. You're right, but we're hooked into a collective of time right now. So we have to, work with the collective. But the point is we go for 3 hours. We clear stuff out, and we address our own personal lives. You get lots of coaching and support. It's gifted, so get the flyer there. And as long as you gave me your email address, I'll let you know when those are. The next one's this coming Friday, the 8th. And you're welcome to join us there. The other thing is I do these by webinar for people all around the world. So what I do is called speed activations, which basically they're dormant DNA and sacred key code activations. And they're being given to me by benevolence. So when I say benevolence from the non-physical realm, it might be angels and archangels. It might be ascended masters. We have Jesus, Buddha. They all show up. Katumi. If you know these ascended masters, you get to know them. You actually will. You know, Metatron. They all show up. And then we have something I didn't even talk about today. It's called star family races. Is anyone familiar with this term? Yeah. So we have benevolent extraterrestrials. Sorry?
What does that mean?
Star family races, and I don't have a ton of time, but it is in that ebook that I told you. If you're on my newsletter, if you give me your email, I'll be gifting that to you. But star family races are benevolent beings from the stars within our galaxy, and not necessarily just within our galaxy, who are helping us all to awaken. And many of us seated here as humans, embodied as humans, so we are like every other human going through this, helping humanity to awaken through this whole process, what we talked about earlier, known as Ascension, yeah? So, but let me just finish. So we do speed activation calls by webinar. So some people in Florida don't always, they want live events, you can come to the Jupiter event if you want. If you don't, you're happy to do it by webinar. It works through time and space. It's not limited to here, there, or anywhere. And the energy's live even when you listen in replay. So that's another great way to do it. And then I have 2 retreats coming up. One's a Lightworker boot camp coming up right here in Palm Beach. And I do a crystal journey where we go and we work with the crystals in Arkansas. We literally are able to work with these crystals because the crystals are storing up codes and information for us that's available to us. They're basically time capsules. And we go to Arkansas, pull them out of the earth, and we do lightworker work and energy healing for humanity. It's incredible. So those are just a few of the ways that you can get it, because of course I do it. Can you do it yourself? Yes! Do you know how yet?
No.
No. You have to learn. And they're not teaching it in school, so this is what I do. I don't hold back. When people work with me, they get as much as they can possibly receive. I'm not holding back, but that's how I deliver it. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, you had a question?
How do you know it's working? Are there any adverse effects, like unintended side effects? You might, I'm just saying. And
yeah, so that's a very 3D question, right?
How do you
because we would expect adverse effects, but over here, there's nothing adverse that can happen here.
You get some gifts, there might be some gifts you may not, I could have done without that one. I'm just saying.
I mean, you do get challenged along the journey a little bit because things are waking up in you that you never had access to before. And it's powerful. And you're navigating it. You're like, oh my God, I didn't even know I could do that. Or wow, this is like what's going on. But that's why you stay in community, you stay with the community, you get coaching and support. But adverse effects, no. That is a thing that happens here. Adverse effects don't happen here. And you will hear, when I do this work, every time we do an activation, you will hear me say it over and over again ad nauseum. Only as is for your highest and best, with harm to none. Only as is appropriate for you as an individual, with harm to none. Now, that is the command and the decree. Source is doing the work. I'm the facilitator, the channel, the one who's interpreting, explaining, because there is a law of free will. So it can't do this for you unless you're saying, yes, please, yes, thank you. But it's never going to harm you. Thank you very much. I got it. It's never going to cause any harm, because the whole point is this is where all the harm is. This is where people are having problems, and animals are having problems, and the world's having problems. The whole point of Ascension is to bring us up out of that, so we can really start living the lives we really are all dreaming of. Because I'm sorry, planet Earth has gotten pretty mediocre, at best.
Yeah.
So to me, that's my joy, that's my love. I love sharing this consciousness with others. And when you ask about results, I mean, how is this for a result? Someone has a full hysterectomy scheduled 4 weeks with the doctor. She goes after 3 weeks of working for pre-op, calls me from outside the doctor's office and says, doctor wants to know what you did, no surgery. How's this one? A woman has breast cancer. She's got to go get the, you know, her MO is like, oh my God, they're going to be sliced off. I don't care. Within 3 weeks, the doctor says, there's nothing here anymore. I don't know what happened. What did you do?
My father grew a kidney.
Father regrew a kidney. I don't know what he was doing, but these...
Regenerated. Like
yes!
He was dying. Yeah, he was dying.
Okay, so could I just, I have 2 minutes left here. So the other thing too, another great example here is that I worked with an animal who was going to lose his leg.
What kind of animal?
A dog.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
He had an accident, right? They brought him in the emergency vet. The vet's like, you need to get, I don't know if this dog's going to live. You need to give me permission to whatever I have to do. He might lose his leg. He might die. I don't know. She calls me in a state of panic. Within 24 hours the next day, the doctor's like, I don't know what you did, but he's like so recovered. I just want to keep him for a week. So she comes back the next day and she's like, I can't pay for this. What am I going to do? We do another session, and the next day she goes back and the doctor's like, he's so good, I don't need to keep him here, but I can't explain this, so I want to keep him here and it's all free. How does that happen? Because humans over here say they believe in a God that's divine, but they don't. But over here there's no more belief. It's knowing, because it's experience. We don't question it anymore. It happens all the time. Here's one other thing I just want to say about this before I start to wrap. In our physical reality, another form of brainwashing is you see things on TV where someone in a wheelchair gets rolled up to a pulpit and some minister or priest lays their hands on the person, and 5 minutes later the person stands up from the wheelchair, hallelujah, I've been healed. And humanity thinks that's the way it's supposed to happen. And that is a lie, because that's not the way energy healing happens. That's not, maybe it's not that it never happened and not that it couldn't happen, but we all know somewhere within our consciousness that's not really very likely. And maybe it was rigged. And we're so wired into skepticism here, we don't believe it anyway. But over here, the way it happens is with so much ease and grace and love and benevolence that you barely really know what's happening. And what most of the time happens is, as you start to get these activations, you start waking up, and most of my clients are like, they think they knew it all along, which they did, but they didn't. Does this make sense? Yeah. It's within you. Everything's getting activated from within you, so you knew it all along. You were there all along. You start waking up to who you really are. It feels awesome. It's wonderful. All right, guys, I pretty much have to wrap here. Again, my name is Lori Spagna.